What I'm going to talk about in today's video is what to avoid when it comes to trading. Everybody's always worried about what to do, but I think we need to focus on what to avoid. So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is if you trade the daily time frame, you can look at either the weekly time frame or even the monthly time frame, right? The bigger the time frame, then we'll say this, is you have different traders on different time frames, right? Monthly traders are stronger than weekly traders. Weekly traders are stronger than daily traders. So what you can do is you can go to the week, for example, and you can just do a straight moving average crossover. Again, this is your higher time frame. Now, so when it comes to directional bias, we're just establishing a direction of trading. Okay, I'm not trading on the weekly, I'm not trading on the monthly, but I need it to keep me grounded. So one of the ways that you can do it is a stacked moving averages approach on the weekly. So we've got this blue, the red, and this pink. So the blue is the 8 exponential, the red is the 21 exponential, the 34 is the pink one is the 34 exponential. You can strictly use a stacked approach. Is the 8 underneath or above the red, and is the red underneath or above the pink, right? So for example, and again, I'm going to show you several different ways. So anyway, blue. All right. So we've got the blue above the red, or in this case, below the red, below the pink, right? So they're stacked to the downside. So you could say, hey, if I'm trading Agilent Technologies, my bias is down. So now you're only going to focus on setups to the downside, whether that's a bear flag, whether that's a squeeze to the downside. But the whole point of this is, and again, we're going to show you several different ways, is if I'm looking at this and my bias is down, I'm only focusing on that side of the market. So if I trade on the daily time frame, the hourly time frame, it doesn't matter. I'm trading to the downside, okay? So that's one way, just a straight moving average. Another way is you can go up here to your studies and you can look for the TTM wave, okay? The TTM wave. Now, the TTM wave is pretty cool. Within the one on TD Ameritrade, and I have a lot of videos on the TTM wave. I'm also in my course, I have a complete squeeze course where I talk about the wave. You got the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the A and the B, and I'm just going to focus on the C. So let's apply that, back it out. And what the C wave does is it measures longer term momentum, okay? So you could even go to the daily because it's measuring the longer term momentum. So if I'm trading Agilent Technologies, again, I can see here this C wave, okay? This C wave is below zero. This is the zero line. If it's below the zero line, we're bearish. If it's above the zero line, we're positive. So watch, for example, let me just kind of go see if I can find one another way. A lot of things are bearish right now because the market is bearish. So let's go to gold. Let's see if gold is. Okay, so we'll just look at gold, for example. So what you've got to notice is this zero right here. When we're above the zero, we are long-term bullish momentum. When you're below the zero, you are bearish. So one of the things that you could do other than the stacked moving averages is you could say, hey, let me put the C wave on. It's going to measure the long-term momentum. And as long as this is below zero, I'm only going to focus on trades to the downside. What I like to do is I like to go to the weekly. Okay, I like to go back to the weekly and use this C wave, okay? And use the C wave and then see, is it above zero? Is it below zero? Again, this is the higher time frame. So this is, representing the long-term trader. So in this case, we just crossed below zero. So now if I go into the daily or the 1 hour, I'm going to focus on trades to the downside. Again, this is a good way, and a lot of traders will use the C wave, okay? And again, you just go to studies, edit, and you type in TTM wave, and you can go here. You can take off the A wave, the B wave, and then you leave the C wave, okay? That's another way. So we've got the moving averages, right? Stacked moving averages. You've got the C-Wave. Now, another one is the Ready Aim Fire Pro. It's down here. So I use the Squeeze Pro indicator every day, and I use the Ready Aim Fire Pro indicator every day. And I mean, I've got a couple different courses. I have my market phases methodology. I have the Squeeze course. As a matter of fact, right now in my options course, you get all of them, right? If you buy the course, you get everything. But what you could do is you could go out here to the weekly. For example, this is gold. And what you could say is, okay, this purple line, right? The purple line, is it below zero? Is it above zero? And what is it? What is the angle? So in this case, it's below zero and it's angled down. So then you could say, hey, my bias is down. We also have a red thrust bar, but I'm not going to go into that. I got tons of videos on that, but it's simple as that, right? If we're above the zero and it's angled up, you could say, hey, on gold, my bias is up. So then if you're looking for setups on the 1 hour, you're looking for setups on the daily, it doesn't matter. You're focused and grounded in a direction. This is very important. However you do it, however you decide your directional bias, just be consistent, but it is a must. So the title of this video is avoid this. Avoid not having a directional bias. I talk to hundreds and hundreds of traders on a monthly basis, and the majority of traders, when they come to me, they don't even think about a directional bias. So the Ready Aim Fire Pro, right? Above zero, angled up. Now, what if it's above zero and it's angled down? Then you would say no bias, right? It's above zero, but it's angled down, so it's no bias. But then if it crosses the zero angled down, it's biased down. If this hooks up and is below zero, no bias. So that's another way. But again, one of the things I'm encouraging you to do is use a higher time frame. I like the weekly, okay, to establish my bias, and then I like to trade off the daily and the 1 hour. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to TradingView, and I'm going to show you my favorite way to establish a directional bias. All right, so this is TradingView, not affiliated with TradingView, but one of the things that I like to do, and again, I teach exactly inside of my market phases methodology course, exactly how to establish a bias. As a matter of fact, I have a 4-point checklist. And the most important thing on anything you're going to trade, I don't care if it's Forex, crypto, options, is you must establish a bias. So I talk specifically about this approach. This is using the Heikin-Ashi candles. Now, I teach a strategy or a methodology called the 3 market phases, right? Understanding the phase of the market, it's everything. Because if you understand what phase the market's in, you can trade accordingly, okay? And that's where you'll see these lines and these boxes. Again, I talk about them in all my videos and daily recap videos, but you could say in this particular case, I'm just going to do a high overview. Again, I go a lot more specific in the course, but you could simply say, hey, this is the 8 exponential moving average, the 21, right? If we are stacked to the downside and we have a red candle, this is the monthly, okay? I'll show you in a minute in the weekly because I use a combination of both, but you don't have to. You can just say, listen, if the month is biased down, then for at least that month, you're only going to focus on that side of the market. Think about this. This is Netflix. Netflix has been down for 7 months. If you would have been grounded to the downside, you could have killed it. You had no business trading it to the upside. When it was green, you could have traded the upside. So in this particular case, we're crossed to the downside and we have a red candle. So in Netflix, my bias would be down. Now, again, I look at this in combination with the phases plus the weekly, but this will work. So you would say, Netflix is down. So then let's say you trade a squeeze trade, for example, on the daily time frame. You would wait until you have a beautiful squeeze setup, okay, and then trade it to the downside, right? Trade it to the downside. Now, if it's like in this case, the blue is above the red, so the 8 exponential is above the 21, and it's green, you're biased up. So what you could do is you could say, hey, if I'm stacked to the upside and I've got a red candle, hey, no bias. No bias for at least that month. go find something else. Again, guys, we've got to be picky. You've got to be picky what you do with your money. And this is so, so important. So again, that is the monthly. You could also do it with the weekly. Now, I use a combination of both together, okay? And I'm very specific because I believe this is the most important thing of anything. Your entries don't even matter as much as this. Too many people are focused on the entries. You need to be focused on your directional bias, getting grounded in one side of the market. It's everything. Then entries, no problem. You can even be wrong a little bit, but once the bigger time frame takes over, you're golden. So look at this case. We're stacked to the downside. We're stacked to the downside, and we're red. Boom. Bias down. If you combine that with the monthly, even more dangerous, right? So now I know on Netflix, I'm only trading to the downside. Again, this is a high overview, but I love this approach the best. Time frame, even more than the C Wave, right? Even more than the Radiant Fire Pro. But you could also kind of combine those together to make, again, to have your bias even stronger. And once your bias is established, then trading will become so much easier, all right? And guys, and if you're interested in the way that I, teach my students directional bias as opposed to entries and setups, check out my option course down below. Right now with my option course is a ton of bonuses, including my squeeze course for free with the option, including my market phases methodology. It's all bundled into one. All right, and if you're interested in any of the indicators that I recommend, the Squeeze Pro, the Ready Aim Fire Pro, every day I use it. Check down below in the description, and if you get one of those indicators through my link, okay, I'm an affiliate with Simpler, you email me that you got it through my link, I'm going to send you over $2,000 worth of bonuses. I got a ton of bonuses.